Baseball. Perfect game. The world's largest scouting service. Perfect game. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Perfect game. A bowling score of 300. Perfect game. Did you know that former MVP Mookie Betts once threw a perfect game in the World Series? The World Series of Bowling! No, seriously, check it out.
Boston Red Sox outfielder Mookie Betts on the precipice of perfection. 300 game for Mookie Betts.
You know, I was watching Carlos Rodon's near-perfect game turned no-hitter, and it recently dawned on me. Those aren't real stirrups. Those are fake stirrups. I can't believe it. I don't think I've ever even seen that before. I guess you can't be mad at the guy for at least trying to honor the name of a team called the White Sox and actually wearing white socks. Look at me talking about uniforms again. Get it together, Royley. I also thought about how fucking crazy rare it is to do something to the absolute best that you possibly can, like a perfect game. All it takes is one little slip up, like a slider with too much break on it, a dropped third strike, or a terrible throw from Hanley Ramirez to end your bid at being immortalized in history forever. In the century and a half that baseball has existed, and the nearly 20,000 different people who have played it, only 23 of them can ever say that they threw a perfect game. For anyone unfamiliar with the concept, a perfect game is defined as getting all 27 outs that are required to win a baseball game without letting any runner reach base. And it is really hard to do. There have been several pitchers that have come just shy in recent memory, and I'm talking just shy.
Like maybe a foot.
Darvish looking for number 6 and the second perfect game. Gonzalez up the middle, base hit. First ball swinging, Marwin Gonzalez right back through the wickets, and the no-hitter and perfect game are gone.
That one is into left center, base hit. He tried it yet again, and this time Everett put it in play. The first hit of the night, the first base runner. Messina was just one strike away from a perfect game.
And the ball, did it hit him? And that's it for the perfect game. The ball hit Jose Tabata, and he goes to first base with 2 outs in the ninth.
Well, that's just the worst way ever to lose a perfect game. Are you kidding me? I gotta refocus.
This last one of Scherzer is arguably one of the most controversial endings to a baseball game of all time. Was Scherzer robbed? Did Tabata lean into it? Did the umpires miss a pretty obvious call? Did Max shit himself? It kind of looks like it. The many angles of what happened here will always be shrouded in uncertainty. It really seems like a coin flip sometimes as to whether or not a story continues to be written or it ends right there. One could say that the umpire is just as integral to a perfect game as the team that is hitting.
Greg Gibson, the home plate umpire, motioning to both players. And the Dodgers celebrating in their dugout.
I'm sure most pitchers who've thrown a no-hitter or a perfect game would probably agree that a call went in their favor at some point.
Beltran 0 for 2 tonight. He struck out and hit a soft liner to short. And he pulls that one just foul. Just foul.
Oh. Boy, it looked fair. It had a big hook on it. Look at that. Oh, that's fair.
It's fair. Fair ball.
Oh, boy.
And it did kick up chalk. Wow.
Get an eye chart.
Well, if things progress as they're going right now, that could be an enormous call historically.
Man. Later that same evening.
He's out of it! It has happened! In their 51st season, Johan Santana has thrown the first no-hitter in New York Mets history.
There's also calls that obviously don't go in your favor. And there's a few glaring instances of that come to my mind, but more on that later. Speaking of ruining it for people, there's actually a funny aspect to the world of no-nos and perfect games that I feel like doesn't get enough discussion, and that's jinxes and superstitions.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
For some, jinxes know no bounds. I mean, on the surface, it seems silly to believe that your dog's presence on the couch next to you has any bearing over anything at all, but it also seems like the baseball gods are just watching down on you with a pair of binoculars, like that one guy in section 517. You know the guy I'm talking about. But yeah, as we'll discuss later in the video, stranger coincidences have happened. Look, you might be the dudiest bro out there, and you like to make fun of that astrology girl who you met at the bar that one night who said that you lack patience in interpersonal relationships because you're an asparagus or whatever, but then you go and hold your dog hostage on the couch and fucking overdose on multivitamins or something because you took one in the first inning and you took one in the second inning. So, I mean, you gotta keep taking them. I'm sorry, that's cringe. I realize that's just this fucking meme. That's the baseball version of this meme. Many players hold a superstition that you're not supposed to talk to or about a pitcher who has something in progress. In 1962, during a Sandy Koufax no-no, one Mets coach tried to repeatedly heckle him while he was on the mound about it. And mind you, this is the really, really bad Mets team with like one of the worst records of all time. So like, I don't know, you'll try anything at that point. I can't blame the guy. On the opposite side of things, in 1964, during Jim Bunning's perfect game, Bunning actually made it a point to go and talk to his teammates about what he was doing to hopefully rid the dugout of any added stress or pressure. And it ended up working. I mean, obviously he got the perfect game, so I guess that's why they just call it a superstition. Most people know that it's all fun and games to talk about jinxes, but that doesn't take away from the fact that some broadcasters genuinely believe that mentioning too much on air will somehow curse what's happening.
He punches him out through 7 innings. Mike Fiers has a beauty going, something special here in Houston.
Popped up. It'll be Maxwell. Side retired. We'll go to the 8th. Getting interesting. Very interesting. 5-0 Giants.
Well, I think we're trying anything to kind of break up the bid for a perfect game or a no-hitter. We've decided to switch places. I didn't know what Matt was doing right away, and then it caught on.
It's amazing what you do on the bench. Down in your player, do it up here.
You were adamant, though. You were ready to go. That one is pulled down the right field line. It is a fair ball. The first hit of the night for the Phils. An extra base hit for Freddie Galvis. He's in scoring position with 1 down here in the 6th inning. Well, that's right.
Riddle me this then. What happens if a pitcher's throwing a perfect game and his last name just so happens to be Voldemort? What do you do then? What if the pitcher's name is Beetlejuice and they're working on their 3rd out of the inning or something?
Actually, I was worried you'd say Beetlejuice 3 times. Because if you say Beetlejuice 3 times, then Beetlejuice, that was a close call.
Whether you believe them or not, these broadcasting beliefs are really fucking funny. And that goes for other sports too. Sometimes more often.
Hugh Jackson in Cleveland, I have nothing bad to say about him. My fundamentals needed work, and Hugh Jackson did great work. And I'll tell you, he looks better. He looks sharp out here tonight.
35. That's on cue. Patrick Chung. That's Bowles who's going to take him down.
Am I surprised that he pulled the goalie with 5 minutes in a 3-0 game? Guess how many times the Avalanche have been shut out this year? Sorry I said that, but
well, I'm not sorry.
With 35 seconds, I am sorry.
You're the one who.
I am sorry I said it because I didn't want to say it. 0, and that's the old goaltender in Patrick Waugh. Is okay. You're not shutting my team out.
You're just man. For a guy as superstitious as you,
I know.
I've known you for all these years.
I know. It's at 5 o'clock start. How could I say that with 35 seconds? You can slap me right on the side of the head if something happens here. I'm giving you permission.
You know me, I have no problem with it, but to hear it from you is a revelation, to say the least.
Yeah, I just got rambling.
People everywhere relishing the opportunity to slap you across the head, but
Looks like it's maybe not going to happen. Although the Avs do get the puck in front of shot by McGee, and he scores!
God!
Sean Garrett.
Here you go.
7.1 seconds left, and the Avs are on the board. If you could see him right now, folks, he's in the fetal position.
I am.
He's in the fetal position.
Many perfect games and no-hitters have that play. Someone makes an amazing play in the late innings to preserve history and keep it going.
Joey Votto's 0 for 2, and the pitch to Votto is a fly ball left center. Laureano going back, still going back at the track, at the wall, leaping at the wall, and he pulls it back. Do you believe that?
Right field, and he dives! He's got it! Hunter Pence robbing Amarista of a hit.
Pilar hits it. What a grab by Seager. Throws low in time. A terrific play by the former Gold Glover Kyle Seager.
Some defensive changes. Pasednik has shifted to left, and Dwayne Wise has come into the game in center field.
That ball hit deep into left center field. Wise back. Makes the catch!
What a play!
Dwayne Wise makes the catch! What a play by Wise! Mercy!
And this is hit out into the alleyway. The long run for Blanco, and Blanco's gonna dive, and he makes the catch! Just an unbelievable catch here in the 7th inning. This is unbelievable.
Into the gap, and he was in that direction in the first place.
It's another part of why these games are such an emotional roller coaster to watch, because it's just another piece of that individual progression of moments that all lead up to the finale, where you can finally take a sigh of relief. And sometimes that finale eases the play.
And a ball driven to left center. Souza. He's got it! He's got it! It's a no-hitter for Jordan Zimmerman.
2-1 pitch, ground ball over the middle. Charged by Vizquel, barehands and a no-hitter.
Ripken on first with 2 outs in the 9th. The Brewers lead 7-0. Hit in the air. Yount makes a great catch, and Rodney Amos has thrown the first no-hitter in Milwaukee Brewer history. What else can happen to this team? Rodney Amos has no-hit the Baltimore Orioles on a great game-ending catch by Robin Yount.
I find it odd that there's never been a recorded combined perfect game. The Rays almost did it in 2019, which isn't surprising considering their infamous creative use of the bullpen. But still, you have to imagine that some of those teams, like the 98 Yankees or the 2015 Royals, couldn't have pulled this off with their group of monsters at the back end.
Hello, Riley.
Ben Shapiro, what are you doing here? Aren't you usually busy destroying people with facts and logic?
I was just getting back from buying a wood at Home Depot when I heard you mention monsters, and I am very scared of those. Anyways, I mean, hypothetically speaking, for the sake of the argument, if you have a sharp start from a pitcher like Johnny Cueto, and then you throw out Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Ryan Madsen, and Wade Davis, you could pull off a combined perfect game fairly easily.
Well, those are all good points. Can't argue with that logic.
I also think that banning the shit would bring a lot of...
All right. That's enough of you, Ben. No more, please. Thanks. He would be one of the ones that want to ban the shift. One trend that I'm curious if anyone else notices, or if it's just me, is that perfect games always seem to be thrown by the elitist of the elite, or some fucking Randy who just woke up that morning and decided to have like the best day of his life. The more you think about it, like, who the hell is Philip Humber? Who the hell is Len Barker? But Roy Halladay? You bet your ass. Sandy Koufax? I sure hope so. Randy Johnson? Bird up, brother.
Bird up.
Randy Johnson is the only member in a special Riley club because he's both the elitist of the elite, one of the best pitchers of all time, but also literally a Randy. It's just cool to me that you can be almost anybody and have a chance to become a part of baseball lore. Dallas Braden wasn't some prodigious talent. He didn't play for too many seasons on account of recurring injuries. So when you hear that the guy who lost his mother at a very early age due to cancer went out and put together one of the best performances that you can have in professional sports on Mother's Day in front of his grandma while apparently hungover, you just have to smile. Had it not been for this moment, Dallas Braden probably would have faded into the background and soon been forgotten as just another one of those pitchers who had the lucky enough opportunity to pitch in the majors. But instead, he's a primary member of A's media and baseball entertainment at large. Braden's great personality would have been lost in a sea of other not-so-spectacular careers, but it wasn't. Anyways, it just seems like every one of these games have a timeless story behind it.
When you went out there, though, 8th inning, 9th inning, Yogi's not talking to you, none of your teammates are talking to you, Stengel doesn't say anything, you're on your own, right?
It felt like that. But after, I don't know what I felt. Like I was saying, I didn't know it was a perfect game until somebody told me in the clubhouse after. And then I found out that what Charlie Robertson, like 30-some years before that, had pitched one for the White Sox.
Against the Tigers, when Ty Cobb was with the Tigers.
I didn't know it was a perfect game. I knew it was a no-hitter.
You did not know that you had thrown a perfect game?
No.
That's what he said.
Wait a minute, you did not know. You knew this wasn't, when Yogi jumped into your arms, you knew it was a no-hitter.
Right.
You didn't know it was a perfect game.
I did not know what a perfect game was.
Not only was Larson the only player to ever throw a perfect game in a World Series, unless you want to count Mookie Betts that one time, but there's also a spooky coincidence behind this one as well. On July 18th, 1999, 43 years after that famous day, that same battery of Larson and Berra reunited at Yankee Stadium to throw out the first pitch to one another. Right after this ceremony, with both Hall of Famers looking on, Yankee starter for the day, David Cone, went out and retired all 27 batters he faced for the 14th perfect game in Major League history.
Popped up and playable. Brocious.
Perfect.
A perfect game by David Cone.
Come on. We need to keep this crazy streak going and get Cone to throw out the first pitch to his catcher and current Phillies manager at the time, Joe Girardi, just to see what happens. Do it on a day where like Garrett Cole's starting or whatever, you know, like maximize the odds.
Did you know that?
On May 26, 1959, Harvey Haddix put up what some would call the greatest pitching performance of all time. Haddix pitched 12 perfect innings against the Milwaukee Braves, and his team couldn't score him a single run. What's even worse is that it was his own third baseman's fault that cost him perfection, and not his own. That means that it extra wasn't his fault. Haddix wasn't facing some B team either. The opposing lineup featured Hall of Famers like Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron, as well as plenty of other All-Stars. Also, you know how I just said that there always seems to be some like unreal game-saving play? Well, apparently that wasn't the case with this one. Pirate second baseman Bill Mazeroski said that usually you have one or two great or spectacular defensive plays in these no-hitters. Not that night. It was the easiest game I ever played in. Sad times, man.
Now you know.
However, and you knew this was coming, if you want to talk about an actual robbery that didn't have anything to do with your team scoring any runs or an error or anything like that, then there's one game in particular that needs discussing. I know I brought it up in my last video, and you'll probably hear me say it again and again, but you can't talk about perfect games without mentioning Armando Galarraga. You know the story. I don't have to explain it. If you don't know it, then look it up, because I'm not going to talk about it. It'll just make me depressed.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers.
Hey, stop! Why? I just don't get it. I always catch you fuckers watching this sick shit. This is sickening.
I seriously don't think it would be impossible for Rob Manfred to come out and do something right for once in his god-awful career as commissioner and make an amendment to any ruling that discredits this as a perfect game. Not only was the blown call supposed to be the very last out to seal the deal, but Galarraga went on to get the next out anyways, which is why so many people refer to it as the 28-out perfect game. Look at him. Look at his face. He looks like he wants to go to the dugout, grab the Gatorade bucket that should have been poured all over him by now, stick a toaster in there, and feel the sweet embrace of death once and for all.
It's electrolytes.
And I'm not saying this out of bias. I mean, I definitely am, but Any baseball fan should get behind this. I'm just saying that as a diehard fan of this team that has existed since the inception of Major League Baseball and has not had a single perfect game in its long, illustrious history, that I want this more than anybody. The league's absolute failure to come out and recognize this as official, especially after all this time, does an extreme disservice to Galarraga himself, the Detroit Tigers organization, and baseball at large. Fix the ruling, you fuck-ups.
That's perfect.
Along with the Tigers, a little over half the league still doesn't have a perfect game yet, and some of these are huge franchises. The New York Yankees and the Chicago White Sox are the team with the most perfect games at 3 apiece, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are the team with the most no-hitters at 26. Expanding outside of the art of pitching, I thought about what the hitting equivalent to a perfect game might be. Many of those familiar and unfamiliar with the sport of baseball would probably tell you that a home run is the best possible outcome for a batted ball. So one can surmise that hitting a lot of them in a single game is fairly uncommon. Enter the 4-homer game.
4.
I'd certainly say it's comparable to a perfect game. I mean, it has only happened 18 times, which would make it rarer to witness. I'd agree that a home run is the best outcome that a hitter can have, but it's hard to say that you had a truly perfect day if you didn't homer in every plate appearance that you had. 5 for 5 with 5 home runs has never been done. Josh Hamilton came close, like maybe a few bicep curls away, but that's it. This begs the question if a 5-homer game will ever happen.
And that time it was a fastball that he hit to left field, left field, left field, left field.
All right, so let's take a look at the list of single game home run leaders. We've got Gehrig, obviously, Willie Mays, Mike Schmidt, and some lesser known ones like Pat Siri, Mark Whiten. Look, can we just take a second to acknowledge that Scooter Gennett is on this list? His career home run total isn't even in the triple digits. How does this happen? The balls were juicy. I guess my theory about perfect games and Rambies kind of translates to this too. One could argue that simply getting on base is the best possible outcome for a hitter, considering that not everyone is going to have the strength to hit over the fence, which I can understand. But then, does that imply that whatever you're doing on the base paths has any bearing over an offensive perfect game? What, pray tell, would be a perfect game for a runner? Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you the perfect heist.
Heist?
Heist.
5 stolen bases in one game. Some of the speedsters on this list have done it more than once, which brings our grand total of 5 or more stolen base games to 28, which makes it slightly rarer than a perfect game, but the odds of you seeing one are still pretty low. 6 stolen bases in a game is possible though, and it's been done before by 4 different guys on 5 different occasions. The most recent instance of someone swiping 6 was Carl Crawford in 2009 against the Boston Red Sox. Many would say that 6 is the ultimate number, but 7 technically has been done before. It was just in a pre-modern era of baseball, aka the 1800s, where rulings on such things were a bit different.
Get it, you fool! By all that's holy, someone catch that sphere! You ass! What's wrong with you? I'd like to take the whole lot of you and thrash you with this hand. Then bash you with this hand. Now, let's get back out there and show that other team why our life expectancy is only 39 years. Why not dig a trench? Then the ball would be as low as you seem to wish it to be. That was no strike. What is that demonry?
I think 7 can happen in a future age of baseball, just not this one. Base stealing has been so de-emphasized in recent years because advanced analytics suggest that it's not a very viable option and it's often not worth the risk. Long gone are the days of Vince Coleman, Tim Raines, or Ricky Henderson just putting up ridiculous seasons on the base paths. It's hard to picture anyone really replicating that.
Want to see me run to that mountain and back? You want to see me do it again?
So if 27 straight outs without allowing any base runners to reach all game is a perfect game for a pitcher, and 4 or more homers in one game is one for a hitter, and 5 or more stolen bases is one for a runner, then what would it be for a fielder? You may laugh, but I'm not kidding. Well, that would be our good friend, the unassisted triple play. Compared to most of the things that I've covered, this has only ever happened 15 times, which would make it the least frequent of the bunch. But I wouldn't go out of my way to suggest that this is a remarkable performance that demonstrates pure dominance in a particular facet of the game like the others do. You don't have to be a Gold Glover or anything, you just have to have enough baseball IQ to know who to tag and where to step. Plus, unsurprisingly, all 15 players to ever do it were infielders. I don't know if you can pinpoint a fielding achievement that encompasses all of the defensive positions. Some of them are also different, so maybe making a shit ton of putouts in a single game?
One is line wall, a play by Sogard. The hit away from Brantley swings and pops it up. Sogard again on the move, and he makes the catch in front of Cespedes for out number 2. There's a shot. Sogard again. You said it. It's not routine, but he made the play.
But then again, there would be more luck involved. I think it would depend more on your ability to make plays when the opportunities present themselves, rather than something being in your full control. So maybe playing all 9 positions in one game. It has only happened 5 times, the most recent being fucking Detroit legend Andrew Romine doing it in 2017 against the Minnesota Twins. Go Tigers, baby! Whoa, whoa! Hashtag Dog to Detroit. Shout out to my man, Scott Bentley. Well, guys, it's looking like that time. I'm going to leave you with some other interesting facts that I learned while reading the Wikipedia entry for Perfect Games. Did you know that recently, and I mean like this year recently, University of North Texas softball pitcher Hope Trotwin had a perfect game. There isn't a true concrete name to what she did because it kind of seems impossible, but she struck out every batter that she faced. Why wasn't this bigger news? I know softball games are only 7 innings, but striking out all 21 batters that you face is pretty fucking remarkable. This wasn't baby shit either. This is D1 we're talking about here. 21 strikeouts in one 9-inning game by a single pitcher hasn't even been done yet in the major leagues. Clayton Kershaw had one of these all strikeout perfect games when he was in high school, but that was only 5 innings due to a mercy rule. So put some respect on Hope Trotwin's name. You guys remember that one time where Clayton Kershaw didn't allow a ball that was hit off of him to leave the infield? Like, none of the outfielders had to make a play. I wonder how frequent that is. Many of you may know that 20 strikeouts is the record for most in one game by a pitcher. I have a good feeling that 21 will happen one day. Max Scherzer ended his 20K game with a force out, so we know it's possible, but in order to set yourself up, you just have to be Max Scherzer.
That's improbable, but not impossible.
A pitcher has reached 21 before. It was just an extra innings, so don't think I didn't forget. On September 12th, 1962, pitcher Tom Cheney retired 21 in 16 innings of work. This stat line will never be seen again, unless, of course, the MLB allows cybernetic human beings with robot arms to play. Imagining that anyone could pitch 16 innings at any time seems crazy, but that just goes to show you that baseball is the best sport because it knows no bounds. It doesn't care how short or tall, thin or husky, old or young, or slim and thick you might be. Jim Abbott threw a no-hitter with one arm. Archie Bradley pooped himself and had a scoreless inning. Randy Johnson pitched his perfect game when he was 40. Didn't matter though, because the dude was still a flamethrower. This was after winning his 4th straight Cy Young Award in his age 38 season.
You need to grow up. Grow up? I'm 38 years old.
So if there's a moral or anything to this video, it's that the beauty of baseball comes from the idea that you can beat anybody and have a chance at making history. If that's too corny for you or whatever, that's fine. I hope you at least take away a greater motivation to go to more baseball games. You might be lucky enough to bear witness to one of these crazy ass occurrences that I've discussed here today. It is my absolute dream to see a perfect game or no-hitter one day because pitching is like my favorite part of baseball. If you go to one, I'm gonna be really envious of you. If you already have been to one, let me know in the comments so I can seethe with jealousy. What's crazy to think about is that if you've been to even a handful of baseball games, then you probably witnessed something historic and didn't even know about it. It doesn't even have to be any of these feats that I've shown you. Weird records are being set and maintained every day. The coolest shit that I've seen in person so far was the longest at bat in Major League history. I didn't even know until like an inning or two later. I just remember thinking, damn son, Brandon Belts is fouling off a lot of pitches. A good majority of the crowd in attendance was unaware of what they had just seen too, and many probably left that day the same way. Anyways, point being, baseball is awesome because it's been around for way longer than any other organized American sport, and there are still people doing things that are rarely, if ever, done. So go out and buy those seats. It doesn't matter where or when. It doesn't have to be Kershaw versus DeGrom. If we've learned anything here today, it's that some fucking Randy could go out there and make history, and you could get a part of that history in the form of baseball, a ticket stub, or even a used hot dog wrapper from like the 6th inning or something. Okay, that's it. Bye.